Hot news: Cory Booker says he's nearing 2020 decision as he swings through key southern states. CNN. Over the course of a 4-day swing through the South, Booker set the stage for his all-but inevitable campaign, checking in with influential African American political leaders and bringing his call for a revival. The trip culminated in remarks at the King Day at the Dome rally in Columbia on Monday, where Booker greeted the crowd as his brothers were. Within the past decade, the event on the steps of the South Carolina State House has become a signature stop on the Democratic presidential primary calendar. At this time this year, it could mark Booker's final major event before he decides, publicly and officially, whether to run for president. He's expected to. Booker was also putting some final pieces in place during his swing across the South, starting in New Orleans on Friday, on to Georgia, and then South Carolina. The ambitious idea. It also speaks to where Booker will focus his energy in a crowded and competitive Democratic primary, recognizing that African American voters are poised to play a powerful, if not decisive, role in choosing the party's nominee. Leaders in that community have suggested they would be enthusiastic about a Booker presidential bid. During a rally in Georgia, Booker met Saturday with his former law school classmate Stacey Abrams, whose underdog campaign for Georgia governor made her one of the standout Democratic candidates of the 2018 midterm election cycle and a possible kingmaker in the next. A spokesperson. The following day, Booker joined Republican John Lewis, that even as he has kept mum, Booker's visit to South Carolina on Monday, capping off his holiday weekend travel, spoke loudly about his intentions and the path to victory he envisions, one that runs straight through the Palmetto State. In the 2016 Democratic primary in South Carolina, African American voters comprised 61% of the electorate. Anybody, Booker would seem uniquely equipped to connect with this constituency, not only as a black candidate himself, but as one for whom the civil rights movement and black identity features prominently in his stump speech. He is the product. Don Fowler, a former Democratic National Committee chairman and longtime South Carolina operative who attended an event in Orangeburg, South Carolina, featuring Booker last year, said he has been well given. Harris decided to announce her candidacy for president on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Laying down. Clyburn said Harris' announcement date was In 2008, Barack Obama demonstrated the power of the black vote in the primary process, with African American voters propelling him to a decisive victory in South Carolina. But the dynamic is, African American voters are. Booker often speaks about that struggle in those terms. The electability question, meanwhile, is one of the key questions Booker will seek to answer over the coming months. The implicit Booker has been reluctant to take on Trump directly, however, as other candidates and would-be candidates have. Speaking from this, but Booker deliberately didn't go there Monday and hasn't. To prepare for his next phase, leaving unsaid what that phase might be, Booker has been rereading King's speeches, he told Lewis during their road trip Sunday, in a video posted to Booker's Instagram. The theme of love features prominently in King's words, as it would in Booker's campaign. On Sunday, Lewis agreed.
Raindrop, drip, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.